Welcome, friends. This is Kim with Stones Hill Homestead, and today I'm bringing you Cheeseburger Soup. This is my make-ahead meal. Right here, you're seeing me starting to saute the onions for it in butter. I used a couple tablespoons of butter and using about 3/4 cup of diced onions. Here I've used my canned hamburger as well. Adding some sweet basil. It's dry, I don't have fresh, so I'm using what I have. And just stirring that up to cook those spices, get those flavors in. Adding some parsley from my garden from last year. It's dried parsley. Just sprinkling that in. It's about a teaspoon that I ended up adding. And as I saute all that up, just finishing up the parsley here, getting that all in. Mixing those together. Making sure those onions are starting to get soft and translucent. I'm not going to be caramelizing anything, just making them translucent. It calls for 3 cups of chicken broth. However, I didn't have chicken broth. Actually, I do have chicken broth, but decided to use some beef broth instead. I just really like that flavor in soups. It calls for 3 cups. I added 4. I am going to end up adding extra ingredients that will soak up that extra liquid that I've added. And here to that canned ground beef from my pantry shelf, I'm adding some carrots that I've added. It calls for shredded carrots. I didn't have any fresh today, so I'm just using up my pantry. I'm just trying to use up some of the things on the pantry shelf to get ready for spring and summer when I'm starting to can. So I'm using some of my canned carrots, mixing that up then. This calls for just a stovetop cook. I'm putting it in my crock pot. I'm adding 4 cups of diced potatoes here. Finishing up what I had left from my pantry from last summer. There was only 4 or 5 potatoes left, so I got those all done. Here you see adding the potatoes here, and I need to cook those down a little bit. I want to make them parboil, if you will. Just stirring that up. I'm going to bring those to a boil for a little bit before adding to the crock pot. And here you'll see me getting ready to add to the crock pot. I'm going to add that skillet full. And we're just going to dump that all in there. Give it a good stir. And it really smells amazing here, folks. If you could be in the kitchen, you'd really like what you're smelling. I know my mouth is watering here. And putting the lid on it. I'm going to be setting it for 4 hours on high. It will not go that long. It's just I want that higher temperature for this while I'm preparing the next step. I need to make sure this is up to a boil before I add what's coming. This next step, I'm adding butter to a skillet. I'm going to be adding a 1/4 cup of flour to this. Use gluten-free if you need it. That works fine. That is what I have used many times. It thickens still nicely for me. So here you see me melting down the butter. This recipe, what I have found, is just a great make-ahead meal for us. I can take it to work, which this is why I do the recipes on Sunday, so that I have enough for all week. Now I'm adding the flour now. I'm going to make a nice roux with this. And I want to cook that flour down, get that taste out of it. I'm going to cook that flour. And once that is completely incorporated and has cooked 2 to 3 minutes, it should be ready to go. I'm going to pour that into the crock pot, and that will be my thickener for my soup. I've noticed a lot of YouTubers at the end of the pantry challenge, we all seem to make the same recipes. I don't know if any of you noticed that, but we do. We end up with a lot of cabbage recipes, a lot of carrot recipes, just different things. Meatballs, you can tell. I'm still working through some things. So my pantry challenge, even though I went to the store, it is still have some things that I would like to use up before the gardening season is at full force. So I'm just using up some things here. So once that butter has all been made into, and the flour have made into the roux, I'm going to add that to my soup. It takes a couple minutes. We're just waiting on that. Here you see me adding that to the crock pot now for thickening. And gonna mix that up in there really nice. There it is. Now in the left-hand side of this video, you can see my cheese. It calls for 2 cups of Velveeta processed cheese. That is what I have. I don't use it very often, but I do like it for a nice, creamy, cheesy soup. You can use 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. It works fabulous. Also in this, we're going to be adding 1.5 cups milk. You're going to get that in there. You can add salt as well at this point. I have used my canned beef, my canned broth, Velveeta. It has a lot of sodium in it already. I don't need to. I would rather wait till everything is done and taste it, not wanting it to be too salty. Sometimes recipes can be too salty. So I'm going to wait to taste it till everything is incorporated here. I also add about 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper to this. And I'm just going to bring it down to where it melts everything together before I get ready to serve. Here I am, I believe, adding the black pepper. There you go, 1/2 teaspoon. Stir that in again. This meal is great served with some sourdough bread. If that's what you like, you can serve it with many things. What we discovered was, since it is a cheeseburger soup, we'd like to top it with some things. We topped it with some diced onions, and it really brought some crunch to that bowl of soup. You can add dill pickles to the top. We just really, really enjoyed this recipe. And those add-ins really were nice. Here I am serving it up for us, getting ready to eat here. It all incorporated nicely. I ended up having 6 extra servings for us out of this batch, plus another little bit that we each ate for dinner today. And I just want to thank everyone for watching, liking, and subscribing. If you like these videos, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe for future videos. I do a lot of canning and preserving most of the summer. I try to bring those to you as I do it. And again, I appreciate all your time that you give to me. And here you go. Here is the final with sourdough bread. And as always, friends, be blessed, be kind, laugh as much as you breathe.